Welcome to the Hillbilly Toolbox. This video is going to show you how to change a boot on a CV axle for an ATV. Most ATVs are very similar, and in fact the boots that I buy for most of my machines are just generic boots that will fit on any machine. Please hit like or subscribe and watch the video. I hope it helps you. One thing I forgot to mention is this job is greasier and dirtier than a liberal government. So you're going to need to get yourself some rags, some paper towel, work on a spot that you know you're going to get grease all over, gasoline, brake cleaner, or some solvent to wash out the bearings, and maybe even to wash up your hands at the end. Use something appropriate. At the end of the day, keep your hands clean.
Alright, this is a CV axle off of a Big Bear, 1996. It's not so important. What I'm going to attempt to do is replace this boot, and my success is going to be dependent on my ability to get this end piece to come off the shaft, because in order to put the new boot on, this piece has to be off the shaft. So I can slide the new boot on, put the piece back on, and then slide the boot back and put the clamps back on. I'm going to try to save these clamps. So this style of clamp, you pry these open, and when you do that, it has this piece here, and you just fold it back, and as you fold it back, it creates some slack, and then you can just slide it off at the end. Maybe takes a bit of prying. You don't want to overdo it because you don't want to deform it. And I just popped it off of there. Now I get to do the other side. So I got the other one off here. I cut the big end of the boot off, and I split the small piece, and now I'm just going to pull it off the shaft so I can expose the inside. As you can see, it's a mess of grease and grass and dirt. So now I'm going to clean this up. There's a spline on this, and if I can get that to slide, you can't really see it. If I can get that to slide off the spline, then I can separate this. So now you can see it's this piece here that is splined on the shaft, and so I'm going to go out and see if I can't hit it, jar it, heat it, whatever it takes, and then see if I can't pull this whole end of the axle off. So I gave it a few taps with the hammer, carefully on this piece here, and it popped off. Now sometimes these don't come apart. You'll have to use heat, and even then I've had one where in order to remove this end, which the bearings were no good, I literally had to cut this piece twice with a zip grinder and smack it off. It was seized right on there, even after I knocked half of it off. So fortunately this came apart easily. So now I go get a boot. I have a bunch that off of other ones here, so I need to find one that the boot is soft, and then I'll slide it on and clamp it up. Oh, I guess I have to clean that out and put some fresh grease in. So I've cleaned it out. I used brake cleaner, gasoline, a lot of moving it around, scraping it out with a screwdriver, and then finally I used hot water. So now I'm going to take it in and set it on the wood stove to dry, and go find my bearing grease and a boot. So this part is pretty messy. Pack in grease around the outside edge, and then lift this, stick your finger in, lift it up, wiggle it around, get the grease in so it gets into where the bearings are, and then put another bunch of grease all the way around again on the outside. Don't bother in the center because that's where the shaft goes. And then once you have all your grease in there and you're convinced that everything's lubricated up, then slide it onto the shaft. I have it ready here. So I'll put it on there and then I'll clamp it up and then I'll be done. So I've got this put together, and what you will have to be careful is this, now that you've had this off, it will want to pop off of the shaft fairly easily. So when you're installing it back onto the quad, just be aware of that. Try and keep it compressed, and everything should go okay. You should be ready to ride.